Scott, someone kind of came to me during the press conference on Sunday, whatever day that was. Now, someone asking about how you guys get the freshmen acclimated to, the winning playoff culture that you've built here. How much does that come from you recruiting guys that have played on big stages like the Frozen Face-Off and last week's regional, that have guys that have played in big games like that before, whether it's in their high school or junior careers?
Well, I think some of it's that probably. I just think we have a good environment here. I think we've got good kids. We try and recruit good kids. Certainly, it's been fun to be around a lot of our teams here, and this one's no different. But I think our older guys and are a big part of that. It's always your returning guys, your leaders. Certainly, we try and set a good example for that. But those guys usually pick it up pretty quickly, and sometimes it takes a while. But you got to go through it. But I'm going to give the credit to our guys in the locker room, our captains that set the expectations too.
So that's kind of like when we talked, I think, earlier about like a Tanner Latteru who has extensive playoff experience. That kind of a bonus when you see a kid like that, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't specifically go, hey, he's got to play so many playoff games. He's been fortunate. He's been on good teams, and they've had some deep runs in the playoffs. I mean, Parker was no different in Spruce Grove. He came from a good program there. A lot of these guys have played in good junior programs, or some in good high school programs, and they've been fortunate to play in those games. But it's a different level. But that's certainly something that we've tried hard to create, and the expectations for every program every coach is going to say they're high, but I think when you get to the stages that we've been at, and we've had some success, I think that sets the bar even higher. And I know as a coaching staff, we push guys to never be satisfied with anything, and that's our job, to continue to make guys better and want more and never be satisfied. And hopefully that's something that helps too. But I think our guys have bought into that. And I mean, it's one thing to talk about it; it's another thing to buy into it. So that's why I say you give the players credit for buying into it, because that's an important piece of it.
How much of that is handed down year to year? Like we saw Don in that group a couple of years ago, and then certainly Carson last year, and now Parker this year. But how much of that is almost learned as you go along?
It's definitely learned, but I think you got to get to those places. Like, guys have to understand how hard it is to play through a regular season in our league. Just in college, when they're coming out of junior hockey, it's different. There's less games. The games have way more importance. Junior hockey, they play more games. Not that those games don't have importance, but that's one part of it. And then the opportunities to get to your league playoff championship, to the NCAA tournament. Those are all critical things as far as trying to build what the expectations are, and guys have to go through that, and that's what it's exciting for. Like last year, those freshmen, for any freshman to get an opportunity, those are the things that keep facilitating and building. And your older guys are guys that can help that process too, from being there and going through that. And I think that's, like I told you, that's where I think experience can help. It's not going to win you games for sure, but it's certainly going to help, and that's what kind of facilitates the expectations. So, but you have to go through those things, because I remember there was a lot of years we weren't going through those, and you could talk about it, and but you have to get in there, and you have to play, and you have to realize, how difficult it is, and sometimes you're not going to always win, but it's still a good learning experience. And when you do win, you hope that guys want more.
Scott, you mentioned that trying to make sure guys are never satisfied. Is Hunter Shepard kind of the epitome of that? And is he a good example on a team, a guy who's always continually striving to get better each and every day?
Well, I would certainly think that he's right at the top. I think we have a lot of guys that are like that. Sometimes they need a little nudge. It's it is a long year. I mean, you got to remember they're student athletes too. There's school and part of this. There's some weeks that they come to the rink and their minds aren't really here. They've got a busy school week. There's things going on in their life. There's a lot of things that, as a coach, when we get here, we want them to be at their best every day, and that's probably not going to happen. But our job is to manage that and certainly, try and identify that. And doesn't mean I'm not going to be hard on them, or nor is our staff not going to be hard on guys. But I think that's something that you always take into consideration. But something I've probably learned more as I've gotten older. But it still doesn't, it still doesn't change. I think when you get to the rink, this is, you should come here with a purpose every day, and that's to become a better hockey player and become a better hockey team. And I think that's something that we strive for.
Shep ever need a nudge, or is that guy just always?
I said I never
around?
talk to him unless we're talking about hunting, so I leave him
Oh.
alone. So he's fine. I'm fine. Unless Brant needs me to talk to him, Brant's going to do that. So, and you've seen the job he's done with our goalies.
Scott, having been here in the postseason so many times, you guys went down a goal to open the tournament. What do you say to the guys in a situation like that, knowing that you've been successful in those situations so many consecutive times?
Not a lot. I think there's certain things, if we're not doing some things that we need to during the game. When you're down a goal, depending on the situation, you got to get pucks to the net, and you got to try and generate some chances. And sometimes it's easier, harder to do, but but you can't totally change your game when it's only a 1-goal game. So we just kept playing. I think this group has shown they've kind of stayed with games, and I think one thing for sure, if we get an early goal, or we have a good start, or something like that, like Parker's goal against Bowling Green gave us a lot of life, and I think everybody felt pretty confident going into the overtime that we had a good chance to win that game. But it didn't matter what time the goal came; it was just something that we needed, because there wasn't a lot of things going on, and that's kind of how that game was. And it was kind of a weird goal. I think it went off their defenseman, but we got a puck to the net, and we got the fortunate bounce, and I think our guys got a lot of confidence and a lot of life from that, and I think it carried over into the overtime, and we were fortunate to get the win.
Is there any feeling for you where you just kind of take a step back and say, I'm going to let my experienced guys take hold of this game, or is it just kind of like we got to keep getting pucks to the net? Or?
Well, it depends how the game's going. I mean, you get a feel for how your team's playing, and sometimes I'm probably harder on them than you guys know, but sometimes I'm not. Sometimes the game's I'm happy with the way we're playing. Just maybe you might be down a goal, or you might be up a goal. You still gotta play. There are some different things you can do, obviously, depending on the situations in the game. So, but it's not really changing too much, or trying to get our guys to do things that they're not super comfortable with, because I think we've had success doing the things that we need to do, and sometimes teams get away from that, or sometimes it's harder to do because of the way teams defend or how they're playing. So sometimes you just got to go with the game and keep harping on a few things, and hopefully those things work out.
Scott, you mentioned again Sunday night how it gets harder and harder and harder each year to get to this point. Wondering if you've taken any time, even just a few minutes, to kind of relish going to 3 straight Frozen Fours and what it's taken to get here.
I know one thing. I never take it for granted. I mean, it's certainly a special time for our program and for our players to have that opportunity again. It's special to be one of the 16 teams to have a chance to get to where we are next week, and because you never know. You don't know, and you can have really good teams, and it's been proven that you just still can't get there. So for me, it's and I hope the players are the same way. When these opportunities come, you never take them for granted, because there's no guarantees you're going to be in those again. And you look at the way college hockey's going, look at the last couple of years, some of the programs that haven't been in there, which those programs will be back in there for sure, because they're solid. But there's no guarantees. So you want your guys to enjoy it. You want them to really relish it, and that's the exciting part, because when you think of our three seniors that Pete came on, but to have an opportunity to be in 3 of them, And they've been in 2 final games. Hopefully we can have another one. Those things don't happen very often. So it's a credit to our players, our coaching staff, our support staff. So, but we never take them for granted.
Pete's been top line center pretty much since he was eligible to play. What can you say about the job he's done in his 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you get a player to come into your program that had college experience, I mean, it's a lot different than a freshman coming in. He's played 2 years prior to coming here and had success and knew what college hockey was about, and got a year to kind of acclimate to what we're doing here. So it was a nice addition when he was able to play. And I know he's played center and wing, but we threw him right in the middle there, and he was kind of a good veteran guy to jump into that role. And he's been a real good offensive player for us, a catalyst, and I think he's shown great leadership this year.
So you maybe a little underrated in terms of the ability to shoot the puck. That was a decent shot Sunday night.
Yeah, well, he can shoot it as long as he hits the net. So.
Was that Scotty right? You would have scolded him had he not passed that in Krieger?
He might have got a little bit of an evil eye, but that's what he does. I mean, those are the plays that he sees. A lot of people don't, and I know I wouldn't have seen it, and I would have just put it on net. Probably would have missed the net or something. But that's the ability that he has, and you know what? You need your big time players to make plays like that, and the play was good, but the finish was better. So that's what you need.
How exciting is it to see these seniors really grow the past few years? You just know this is pretty much it for them, but you get this one last hurrah.
Well, I hope they're really excited. Like I said, to have an opportunity to get back to a Frozen Four and try and defend a title. Those are very difficult. Just look at the history of college hockey. It hasn't happened for a long time. Like I said before, it's hard to get back there in consecutive years, let alone 3. So it's a credit to them. They've had good leadership. I mean, Parker obviously stepped up for us big time in the regional. That was obviously really a shining moment. He scored big goals for us, but Billy, looking at the NCHC championship game, gets a big goal for us. So those guys, when you see that, that's what you get excited for, that those guys step up and play a big role in getting us to where we are, and they have. So it's fun to watch them have an opportunity to go through that again.
You mentioned Billy's big goal in the conference tournament game. They have the same two almost set up a shorthanded goal for you on Sunday. What kind of chemistry have you seen Tanner and Billy kind of develop here shorthanded?
Good. They did a little bit of it earlier in the year. Me being a dummy, I probably didn't keep them together long enough. But no, they're both tenacious. I mean, obviously Billy's got the speed, can pressure pucks. Tanner's the same way. So, it's nice to have that right now. Plus, there are guys too that aren't on power plays, so they have the energy too. And just to see what they've done, they'll be together for sure.
With these tournaments, there's so many outside commitments and obligations. Is there a secret to balancing all that? And then for the guys, they've obviously had success staying focused on the task at hand, but I know there's a lot of other, stuff pulling them.
I think if you let it get to you, I mean, it's all part of it. You know what? You go do what you need to do, and as long as we don't have too much structure with them, that's one thing I think I've learned. I mean, this is the time to go and enjoy it, right? Some guys love that media stuff, some guys don't, but it's all part of it. And we still got to go through our practice, and we'll keep it as close to our routine as you can. Obviously, the game again is earlier, so it's not necessarily like preparing for your normal 7 o'clock game, but we've gone through that already. So we've had some games during the regular season from a game time situation that helped that too. So no, it's you let them go. We don't try and stray too far from what we do as far as our routine on a normal weekend, and you let them go and enjoy it. I mean, that's what this is about, and I think our guys have had a lot of fun going to these and as a group. And I think regardless of the result, that's one of the most important things, is for those guys to go there and kind of have fun and keep doing what they're doing and do it together.
You mentioned the early start. Is that something, if you hadn't had a couple of early starts over the course of the year, is that something you might be concerned about?
Not really. You know what, kids by that time they don't want to sit around and wait till 8 o'clock to play. They could play at noon, I think, when they get out of bed. So it's less sitting around. It's an opportunity to get after it a little bit earlier. So it's all good. I don't think it would have mattered. Not at this time of the year.
What do you know about Providence at this point?
Good. I was very impressed with their team. I mean, Nate's obviously done a great job with their program. I mean, the last time we played them, I thought it was a war, the double overtime game. So I'm not expecting anything different. I thought their top lines are very good. Obviously, goaltending is good, but I was really impressed with their power play against Mankato. Anytime you can score 4 goals against a team like that, you're doing something right. So we've got to obviously pay attention to that. And you know, they get a lot of pucks to the net, and we're going to have to defend well at our nets. So I'll continue to watch. But again, a real tough challenge. A team that plays extremely hard and doesn't give you a lot of room. And they're good offensively too.
Can you compare them to a team that maybe folks are more familiar with around?
Not right now. You can ask me that question after I watch them a little bit more. But no, I mean, we're excited to play them, and I'm expecting a real bout.
You consult with Hasty at all about them, or
Not yet. I'm kind of letting him.
give him some time?
Hopefully, he'll give me some insight. But we'll do our homework and try and find out as much about them aside from just tape watching. But I know a few things already, so we'll kind of pick out a few things. But most importantly, we got to prepare our team to do those things. So and what we need to do to beat them.